Have you ever wondered when you should actually be picking up your texturizing or thinning shears, or when we should just say no and leave them down and maybe use a different technique so that way we don't create frizz? I'm Angie from Shark Fin Shears. Let's go into it. For the purpose of this show and tell, I'm breaking her down into 3 parts. One is at the occipital down, the other the parietal ridge down, and then the very top of her head. These are the 3 main focus areas that we would be utilizing when we go in to texturize or thin our clients out. But our main question is, how do we not create frizz when we're doing this? Well, we want to first make sure that our client is the ideal candidate for thinning or texture shears. So what do I mean by that? 1, they're not extremely thin or fine hair, and they also don't have extremely curly hair. For those clients that have curly hair, what I would suggest to do is, instead of picking up your 30 or 40 tooth shear, go in with maybe your 7 tooth shear. Your 7 tooth would be like this, where you can see there's more gaps in between. So that way you're not taking out little sections of hair that would create a frizz. You're taking out more of bigger chunks in there. But ideally, with curly hair, what we would ideally do is go in and use our regular shears and carve out areas that have too much bulk in one spot, rather than going in with our texturizing shears. The next thing we want to talk about is the amount of teeth in between our shears. So the higher amount of teeth, the less amount of spaces in between. So that means that if I pull up these ones, these are the 40 tooth. If I get really close to that, these are the 40 tooth, and you can see how little spacing is in between. So when we're going in and texturizing or thinning out somebody's hair, we want to make sure we remember that's the hair that's being left behind. It's creating short, too long pieces. So if we were to go into somebody's hair and use the 40 or 30 tooth shear and it's super close to the scalp, or they have really curly hair, we're creating a lot of little pieces really close to the scalp. So what could that do? Cause frizz and cause certain hair to stand up. So let's go right into when we would use the thinning shears and how to best use them so we don't create frizz. I'm gonna use the 30 tooth for the most part. I love these guys. And I want to show the occipital area. For this, when it's a client who has an extreme amount of hair, you might want to go in here and texturize. But what I don't want to see anybody doing is, 1, having this all down and just going willy-nilly and cutting from the scalp all the way out. You don't want to do that because, again, shorter hair is going to pop out and you're creating a lot of frizz in there. So if this was a client who is a great candidate, what I would do to create movement down here, because the occipital area down doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really have a lot of movement. So if you wanted to create movement in the bottom part of this client's hair, what you could do is go in and take a little section here. If you're taking a horizontal section, what you can do is go in with a vertical placement of the shear and almost point cut into it. And what we don't want to do is go past that mid area. We're going past the mid of her hair length. You're going to also create a little bit more volume. So that is very important to know. If you went in with a horizontal shear and just chunked that out, what we're doing is creating another bulk line that in 6 weeks, when she comes back in for her trim, she's going to say, again, I need it thinned out. It's still bulky, but now my bulk is up here. So at the occipital bone down with longer to medium hair, you can go in and, again, point cut with your texturizers or your thinning shears. Doing that, you can release the weight, but not create frizz or another bulk line that you have to worry about. Now that we're in this middle area here, we just want to do pretty much the same thing, staying from the mid down to the length. And you don't want to go too close to the root because this is where the head likes to curve. So if we go in really close to the root, what we're doing is creating little pieces that are now having nowhere else to go but to stick straight up. Doing that is going to create frizz. So in doing this, the main areas are right behind the ears, and you'll hear a lot that clients who have thicker hair feel like they have the dog ears right behind their ears. So those are typically the moments where you can go in. I'm going to take a vertical section, lift her out a little bit, move her around a little bit for you. And you can still go in and almost point cutting that texture into there, removing some weight, but still being mindful of where we're actually putting in the shear and where the tip of the shear is. So that way we don't create, again, frizz. Now, if this was a curly haired client and they felt like there was certain parts of their hair, or you feel like there's certain parts of their hair that needs to be released, the weight needs to be released, the curl needs to bounce up more. What we can do then is utilize our shears. And instead of going in with thinning shears, you can go in and do almost the same thing but opposite, and you're gonna carve it out. So that is releasing hair that's underneath, leaving the length on top so it can kind of weigh it down a little bit, but it'll release their curl pattern a little bit to help give them some volume. On the topic of volume, let's go into this top area here. We talked so much about not creating frizz, but what if the frizz could help us? So at her apex, where it's the top of the head, we can go down just a little bit, make sure there's no calyx in here, swoosh that away. If this is a fine-haired client, and we're not talking super see-through, but fine enough that they need a little volume up there, they can never get volume up there. A little trick is to create the frizz that'll help give them volume. Now, this is something you want to explain to your client before you do it, and maybe try out on a mannequin first. But what you can do is just right where that top of the crown is, you can see that the hair starts to curve. So if we cut too close to the scalp, that's going to create little frizzy pieces that pop up. But on a thinner haired client, we might actually enjoy that. So what we could do is go in right at this top area with our client. We would want to explain it to them what we're doing to help give them volume. Take a thin section that is horizontal, and we can actually utilize those frizzy pieces. So I'm going in, these are the 30 tooth, going about 1.5 inches up from her scalp and clamping down. Just one time is all you need. That is creating these little pieces that blend in nice enough that it can give them some extra volume in there. So there are moments where the frizz actually helps us. The last thing you want to do after you texturize is to go in with both of your hands and feel the hair out. You don't always have to do the same on one side as you do the other because hair clients' patterns and their growth texture is different all over their head. So you just want to double check that everything feels pretty similar and you will have a happy client. I hope this video helped you figure out when you would want to use your thinning or texturizing shears and when we should just leave them alone and utilize a different technique. Also with the frizz, how to keep the frizz at bay or when we can actually use it for us. As always, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications on our newest videos coming to you, and leave a comment on any video you would want to see in the future.